Yo, what's up everybody? Jumping here, and I am back on some Nioh 2, and today I'm really happy to be bringing you guys my very first build ever since the DLC came out, and I have used this build to clear all of Dream of the Demon. I knew that this was a build I wanted to do because I seen that the DLC was giving us some new Katana stuff, and I was like, well, I haven't done a Katana build yet, let me go ahead and do a Katana build. So that's what I did. So this is a Katana slash Odachi build, and this is actually using the brand new Bin Zai Ten's Grace, which is the new Versatility status that you can get. And I knew the moment I seen it that it sounded interesting. I looked it up, read a little bit about it, and said, okay, I definitely want to play around with this and try to make it work. And let me tell you, it is extremely good. Now, I do tend to go into great details about my builds, and because of that, the videos can be somewhat long, so I will be putting timestamps in the description, and I will be pinning a comment. So if you want to skip around, just find the timestamps and skip around. Now, one thing that I also will be doing is that here in the beginning, I'll be fighting some bosses. I love this level for just showing off builds. It's pretty much my favorite level, and this is on Way of the Demon. And then at the end, I'll be running through a level with normal enemies and a boss. That way you can see on how this build performs in both of those circumstances. Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and now buff up, and I will show you how this works on this level. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is start with the Odachi, because sometimes I'll use the Odachi, sometimes I'll use the Katana. This is a dual weapon build, but I do use both weapons. That's kind of the idea. And what I'm doing is I'm actually trying to build up some of my stacks right now. Because, that's actually something that I realized right away with Versatility. Is that Versatility is a lot better if you can actually use two weapons. Mainly because it allows you to build up your stacks a lot faster. Plus, you're not using a lot of garbage skills and moves that you just don't like. I mean, that's one of the problems. If you're trying to use a bunch of trash that you hate, it just is really repetitive and boring, and who really wants to do that? Where it's much, much better to actually go ahead and use skills that you really, really like. And that's what I realized, and I really think that's a good idea. So if you're going to do a versatility build, I think you're better off using two weapons and just using the skills that you actually like, and use those skills to basically boost you up so you can actually get to your higher stacks. And another thing I like to do is I like to actually stay at 7 or 8 stacks. That way, as the meter ticks down, once it gets close to the end, I will actually use another skill to add another stack. And that way I can just keep high stacks for longer. So these are a couple little tricks that you can do with versatility to really actually take advantage of it fully. Use two weapons, that way you can actually build up the stacks quicker, and you're using only good moves that you like using, and then also try to stop or slow down once you get to about 7 stacks, and then let that meter tick down, and then do another skill to bump it up so you reset the timer. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go ahead and go back to the main menu, and I'll show you everything that you're going to want to know if you want to actually copy this build and use it for yourself. Alrighty, so now I want to go over the skills that I like for the Odachi and the skills that I like for the Katana, because there are some skills that I like to use as my main skills, and then there are some skills that I might use to extend my versatility stacks, because I do use both weapons. So sometimes I'll start with the Katana and I'll build some stacks up, then I'll switch to the Odachi, and then I'll use the Odachi as my main damage dealer. And normally, I do actually just spam one really good move once I have high stacks, and that would be Moonlit Snow. Moonlit Snow is amazing. It gives you hyper armor. That's the main thing about it that's so good, but it's extremely powerful. It absolutely decimates everything. So, if I have high stacks of versatility, this is my main move. This is what I try to build towards. And then on the Katana, my main move that I would do, because I know, the idea is that I'm supposed to be using a lot of moves, but I don't really have to, because once I have the high stacks, I can kind of just spam really powerful moves. For the Katana, I like the new sword dance. That's something you might have seen in the beginning. I was using this a lot when I was trying to do a lot of damage quickly to those bosses. And then I also will use EI Quick Draw. I'll combine the two. And same with Moonlit Snow and Imperative Strike, I might combine the two. But the other moves I like for Odachi is Twin Moon. This is a very good move. It's very nice. Imperative Strike. And I also use Swirling Snow. So with Moonlit Snow, Imperative Strike, Twin Moons, and then Swirling Snow, that's 4 stacks I can easily get on the Odachi very quickly. If I need additional stacks, so let's say my meter is running down. Remember, you want to get to like 7, and then maybe let the meter go down, and then about halfway through, I'll get another stack, and then about halfway through 8, I'll get another stack. That way I can have that meter going for a lot longer. So an example is if I need to do something, I can always go to mid stance and I could do Sacred Bird Strike. That's a very easy, quick move to do. Or I can do Cuckoo's Call, and that's another very quick and easy move that I can do to get a stack. So I have about 6 moves I can do on the Odachi to build stacks if I want to. And it's the same on the Katana. I have like 6 moves or 7 moves I can do to build stacks up. That way I can always have high stacks and I can always, build them up quickly. Now, one thing I do want to say is that this is mainly a high stance build. And if you didn't actually pay attention, I am still using Tenjin as my main spirit. For my Way of the Demon playthrough, I just kind of stuck with Tenjin. To be honest with you, I still like Tenjin. It depends. On future builds, I probably won't be using it. But I do feel like if you are not using an attack buff, okay, if you don't have any other attack buff, Tenjin is still a very solid choice if you want an easy and quick attack buff. So that's the main reason why I'm still using it. And because of that, I'm using a lot of high stance. Now for the Katana, all the moves I like is I do like Morning Moon. It's very good. I have Shadow Sword on, but this is kind of one of those moves that if I can't remember or I forget, like, oh man, my meter's running out. I need to do another move. What have I not done? Oh, let me do Shadow Sword. There you go. That's one I haven't probably done. EI Quick Draw is on here. The problem with this one is that you can get stunned out of it. Imperative Strike, it has Hyper Armor. That's one thing about Odachi. Almost all of the high stance moves I'm doing, Twin Moons, Imperative Strike, Moonlit Snow, they all have Hyper Armor. So you are not going to get stunned out of them. Where on the Katana, you will be. So like EI Quick Draw, you might be stunned out of this so many times that you haven't actually done it yet, and you think you might have done it, so this is something you always have to kind of remember. But this is a very powerful move if you can get it off. Now, Sword Chi is really quick. I do also like Flowing Shadow. That's another good move, but Sword Chi is super quick. And the follow-up, which you can't see when you look at it through this screen, but the follow-up is very quick, and I definitely like it a lot. Like I already said, my main damage move that I like to spam once I have high stacks of versatility is the new Sword Dance. You do have to farm for this, so this is something I did on Way the Strong. I farmed that new boss so many times, trying to get his boss techniques, the Sword Dance, the Sacred Bird Cry, and I also got all of his smithing techs, so that is something that I did. I would recommend doing that if you're trying to make this build, because this new Sword Dance move is extremely good, extremely powerful, and I definitely recommend it for this build. And then the final move I'm using is True and Through. It's another boss skill. Once again, I'm not really using it because I like it. I'm using it to get more stacks if I need so. And that's just really what I'm doing. And then, of course, I can always go to mid stance with this as well. And I could do, like, Sacred Bird Cry if I need to. And that's something I could do for more stacks. So, yeah. The idea is that I do so many stacks with the Katana, I switch to Odachi. And then I mainly will use the Odachi at that point. And let's say once my stacks are gone, I'll use the Odachi, and then I'll switch to Katana, and then I'll mainly use the Katana from that point. So it's really quick and easy to build up the stacks, and I really like both the Odachi and the Katana for this build. They both perform extremely good, especially if you are spamming the very good moves like Sword Dance for the Katana, and then Moonlit Snow for the Odachi. Now, one quick note as well, I do want to just point out, and that is, in the Samurai skill tree, there is this ability called Flash Attack. I do this all the time. So as you're doing a key pulse, you have to switch your weapon and you will do an attack. Let me pull the little movie scene back up. But the Odachi one, that's the main one. Because the Katana one isn't really all that good, but the Odachi one for this is really, really good. So I really do like this as well. This is something I do all the time when I'm trying to switch weapon so I can keep building up my stacks. I'll use this Flash Attack. So this is something I would also recommend practicing and getting better with. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the gear. Now, the first I'm going to talk about is the accessories, and I am using the brand new flute accessory, which is a part of the brand new Katana set bonus, which is one of the reasons I wanted to use Katana, because I thought this set bonus was really cool. Because it has an accessory, I can actually get the 4-piece bonus really easily. So all I have to do is use the Katana, I use 1 piece of armor, and then I use the accessory. And because I have the Yazakani, I get the 4-piece bonus, so I get 6% melee damage, which is always good. I get 15 attack and defense for the sword, which is kind of whatever. And then I also get 15% sword dance damage, which, that's one of my new favorite moves in the entire game. So, this is great. Like, this is a great accessory. There's one downside to it. I'm pretty sure this one, like many others, it doesn't get life recovery and burrito absorption, but it is still a very good accessory, and I would definitely say that it made me want to play with the Katana. Initially, I was going to do the spear and switchglaive, but it would have been the same concept because I would have just used the Master Spears, and I would have actually got the 4-piece bonus for melee damage, and I would have actually been using triple thread as like my main damage move. So that's something that I was planning on doing anyway. But like I said, this accessory is really cool just because you could put it on and actually get some of the set bonus. Now, one thing I do want to mention is the melee damage versus poison enemy, because that's still meta. It is still meta because they did nerf a lot of stuff, but when it comes to that, they didn't really nerf it all that bad. They nerfed it slightly, but it still is really good, and there's no reason not to take advantage of it. So, unfortunately, I know a lot of people probably hate it, but you should still take advantage of it. It is still extremely good, and I have to go ahead and recommend it. So I have poison accumulation on this, I have melee damage versus poison enemy, I do have defense bonus magic on here, and I also have Amiel magic. So that's what I chose to go for on that. My Yazakani is kind of interesting, because I have a star effect on here. And I kind of want to talk about the star effect, because I'm going to have a lot of star effects on my armor. And I know people are probably going to want to know how to get the star effects. I do plan on making a video in the next couple days on how to actually get the star effects. I'm going to go over all the little secrets that you can take advantage of to try to get the star effects. Now, you don't have to get the star effects, but it is something that you might want to do if you are a mid-maxer and you're like me, or you want to grind and you want to get this stuff. Yeah, get the star effects. But if you don't care, you don't have to get the star effects. I'm just putting that out there. But one star effect that is really interesting is something that you can get on the accessories, and that is melee damage versus 0 key enemy, because that stacks. That's the only damage perk in the game that can stack with other damage perks. This is the same, and this has been known for a while because of the cleaver weapons. Those are weapons that you get. They're like yokai weapons. There's a dual sword, there's an Odachi, and you can get that melee damage versus 0 key enemy, and you can still apply some other damage set on there. So in this case, on the accessories, if you can get that star effect for melee damage versus 0 key enemy, you could combine that with melee damage versus poison enemy. So that is something that, for future builds especially, I am going to try to take advantage of big time. I've already shown you, actually, that I have that on this one accessory. Let me go ahead and show that again. There is a way to get this really easily. I'm going to talk about that in my video when I talk about star effects, because it will take a little bit of time, but it's not really difficult to get these star effects on the accessories, or at least this particular one, because this particular one is the good one. This is the one you want. I could have done that with the flute, but I just really didn't care. I didn't feel like doing that for this build, because this build isn't all about doing an insane amount of key damage. But I do think that in the future, a lot of my builds are going to be about doing a lot of key damage as well as just doing a lot of damage. Now, I guess I'll show the scroll because this is new, but this is a good scroll. This is the one I definitely like. It gives active skill key damage, and remember, because of things like this, that's not bad. I definitely like that active skill key damage. I have high attack damage on here, which I like. The only other thing I would also like would maybe be active skill damage. That would be definitely not bad. And I also have Nioh magic power on here. Honestly, it popped up, I grabbed it, and that's what I'm sticking with for now. I can always try to get something better, but I don't know if there is anything I would rather have, because I've always been a big fan of boosting my Nioh magic power really high to get longer durations for my buffs, because I hate having to buff. It's just annoying. I think everybody agrees with me on this, and that's one nice thing about this build, by the way. I'm not using the axe. A lot of builds I try to use the axe to get the rage buff, and it's a really good buff, but unfortunately, it just is annoying having to constantly switch the axe, get the rage buff, go on and fight, switch the axe, get the rage buff. That is just annoying. And that's one of the reasons why I'm using Tenjin, is because Tenjin, I don't have any other attack buff besides Tenjin. So, what I'm doing is I'm just being in high stance, I'm absorbing Amarita, and I'm getting an attack buff. It's not nearly as good as what Rage could give me or other attack buffs could give me, like Carnage, but I would never use Carnage. I do not like Carnage. I will never use it, honestly. So, this is definitely my best option. That's the main reason I'm still using Tenjin with this build, is because I'm not using an axe. I don't have any other way of getting an attack buff, so why not take advantage of this? Now, when it comes to the soul cores I have on here, I'm still using the toxic slime. I might eventually take this off because I'm not really using this like nearly as much as I used to. This was like my primary soul core I would use before, and now I'm just not really using it all that much. But I still like it for the poison accumulation. That's not bad, but I might end up switching it out. The main one I'm using now is the Nimpo one, and that's just what I'm going to call it, Nimpo. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. And one thing I have on this I want to mention is Yokai Ability Key Pulse. I think that's a good one for this. But this is, like, ridiculous, okay? I have to talk about this because this is, like, 100% the new meta. There's no doubt in my mind. I don't know what they were thinking with this. First of all, the bonuses on this Soul Core is really good. It gives you life. It gives you life recovery, Amarita absorption, and that's one of the best effects in the entire game. So, it's kind of insane that they actually did that with the Soul Core. Because what this Soul Core does is, when you use it, it does actually an okay attack. The main good thing about it is that it can do a lot of key damage, which is not bad. But it also will give you a new buff. It's Berserker's Rage. And Berserker's Rage is insane. It's basically just like Rage from the axe, but the debuff part of it is you will have to use more ki to attack, just like Rage, but also you receive more ki damage when you get hit. So it actually is a double debuff, but it gives you a really massive attack buff. Now the thing is that will stack with other attack buffs. This is what they wanted to get away from with Tenjin. Tenjin could stack with like Rage, so you could have like Rage and you could have Tenjin. And both of them were about 30% damage, so combined you're talking about like 60% damage. It's very good. Well, with this new Nimpo Soul Core, you can do the same thing. You can use an axe for the Rage buff, use this, and now you have basically a double buff. So I don't know what they were thinking with that. I'm kind of surprised by that. Also, there is some meat in the game that these guys can drop. So there is a consumable you can use to actually get the Berserker's Rage buff. I think it lasts for about 30 seconds if you eat the meat, Where with the Soul Core, I'm pretty sure it lasts for like 15 seconds. But it's definitely really good. This is the Soul Core you want to be using mainly, just to constantly be getting that attack buff. And the downside isn't really that big of a downside. So what? You use more ki to attack. If you get hit, you take more ki damage. It's not a big deal. This is absolutely the best Soul Core in the game. There's no doubt. And then finally, I'm using the Snake Boss, and that's just for the melee damage versus poison enemy. This is another really good Soul Core, though. If you're going to use a Soul Core, this is a good one. The main one I use, the only one I really use now, is this Nimpo one, just because I'm constantly wanting that Berserker's Rage buff. But this Snake one is a very, very good Soul Core to use. So I would say it's something you might want to do. And I did forget to mention, but on the Yazakani, I do have the poison stuff, but I also have life recovery and Marita absorption. It's super important. It's something that you want to do. Now on the Katana, this is the Katana I have. There is something I'm going to talk about when I talk about the Odachi. I wish I would have done this with the Katana, but, you know, to be honest with you, I didn't even have the smithing text when I got this Katana. I got this on Way of the Strong. I was farming the guy trying to get the smithing text. He dropped me the Katana. I said, you know what? I'm just going to upgrade this one. Why not? And that's what I did. But this is all the stats I have on it. I have poison. I have active skill break. I have the melee ki consumption. I have a heart attack buff, melee ki damage, and I have poison accumulation. Now on the Odachi, I have a star effect. Now I was talking about this because I made a video just talking about what I felt would be like the new meta and stuff, and people were pointing out to me that there are star effects on weapons, and you can get attack bonus A+ is what it starts with, and then it goes up to AA. And once people said that, I was like, oh no, that's not good, because as a mid-maxer, as a crazy person like myself, I knew that I'm gonna want to get these. Now I will say, when it comes to any star effect, it is so much easier to get a star effect on a set bonus. If you're trying to get it on a grace effect, good luck. It is a nightmare. I do not recommend even trying that. I'll be honest, like, you're better off just saying, you know what, I don't care, and just don't do it. But when you're talking about a set bonus, it's actually not that bad. And it didn't really take me all that long to get this star effect on this Odachi. So, you know, and I'm happy with it, I'll be honest, just because it's magic, but I do have max magic, so there's no reason not to use it. And it does add a decent amount of damage, but once again, it's not like anything insane. It's not like a make or break situation, so if you can't get the star effect, do not worry about it. Do not, okay? Now, for my ranged weapons, I'm using a hand cannon and I'm using a rifle, but I'm mainly using these to get that Benzai 10's grace. That's kind of the idea. So both of them, they have to have the same grace effect. You know, it can take a minute, but you will eventually get that grace effect to pop up. The most important piece of armor is the helmet, though, is the coil snake helmet. This is still 100% going to be meta, just because it will give you that melee damage versus poison enemy, and you can put a grace effect on it. So this is by far the best helmet in the entire game. There is no doubt about it. Now, it is tricky to get a star effect on this because it's a grace effect. It can take a lot. But the only star effect that you can really get on this, you cannot get a damage effect. So don't think you can. Don't think you can get active skill damage or melee damage or any of that. You can't. Because this helmet comes with melee damage versus poison enemy, that's the only damage perk it can get. So, if you want to get a star effect on it, the only star effect you can really get is the melee ki damage, or some type of ki damage effect. You can get that on here, and you might notice I have rage duration on this helmet. I put that on. I was using an axe at first with this build, and then I said, screw that, I want to use two weapons, and that's when I started playing around with the Odachi, and I really fell in love with that setup. But I'm going to keep the rage duration on there just because, why not? That's why I'm looking at it, mainly because I know that in the future I'll use this helmet again. That's one of the nice things about this versatility effect, because versatility is going to be used on a lot of different builds. It's a very good damage booster. So I'll probably use it on different builds, and I can just always use this helmet again. So I only needed the one. Same with the chest piece. I only really needed the one chest piece. And if you want to look at any of my stats, by the way, just go ahead and look. Now, if you're wondering, why did I choose this particular chest piece? I chose it just because I thought, sounds good, you know, auto life recovery, enemy killed, I'll get some life back. Why not? And it's fine, it works, you know. It's heavy armor as well. I wanted heavy armor. But the most important thing on here is the life recovery and Marita absorption. Now, the star effect. I have active skill damage on this. And this is a grace effect because I'm telling you right now, if you're talking about a set bonus, it's not that bad to get the star effect. But if you're talking about trying to get a star effect on a grace bonus, it can take a long time. You can really get unlucky with it. So I'm just going to be completely honest with you. And what you can do is you can actually temper active skill damage on. You're going to get a less percentage, but you can still get like 3%. So we're talking about 2.7% here, or whatever it might be. You could still get active skill damage on any piece of armor. You don't have to try to get the star effect. So I really want to like drive that point home because you can go crazy trying to get star effects on grace effects. Like they are just, it's just so hard to get because the RNG is so complicated with that. Now on the gauntlets, for example, this is a set bonus. So it's a lot easier to get the star effect on the gauntlets. These are my pants, you know, same thing. I got the star effect. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare because it's a grace effect. It is a nightmare. I'm going to be straight up with you. It's super annoying. So, you know, once again, I would just temper it on there. And on this one, I have a double star effect. Now, once again, this one isn't nearly as bad because it is a set bonus. So, if you save scum, it's really easy to actually get this. So, that is something. But I do want to bring this up. I'm using 2 pieces of the Moon Prayer set, and I get the melee damage. That's the main reason I'm using it. It also gives me extended ailments, which is not good. It's something I don't like. But by just equipping the Odachi and putting on 1 piece of armor, I'm able to get 5% melee damage. And to me, that's totally worth it, even if that means I get the extended ailments. So that is pretty much all my gear. I really want to drive home the point. You can temper active skill damage on your armor. You do not need the star effects. So don't drive yourself crazy trying to get them. You could also get certain skills still from people through Discord, through Revenant, grave farming, and you could use Versatility to just be a damage booster. You use all these different skills to get a high stack, and then you focus on just using that one great skill that you really like, and that's fine. That would work as well. So I really have to drive that point home because I know how annoying all this can be. But I will be making a video on how to farm all this. If you're interested, I will be coming out with that in the next couple days, I think, because I do think it's important to get that video out as soon as possible. Alrighty, so now I'm going to talk about my magic, and I'm going to talk about my ninja. Now, for the most part, all this is the same, but they did actually buff something that was kind of surprising to me, and that is the Sloth Talisman. Now, I don't know why they would buff the Sloth Talisman so much, but I noticed this like right away, because I was playing co-op with my friend when the DLC first came out, and his magic stat was not that good. And he was using Sloth Talisman, I was using Weakness Talisman, and he was able to apply Sloth Talisman with 1 talisman on enemies and on the boss, and I had to use 2, and I was like, okay, that's a little bit weird. And then I noticed that my duration of the Weakness Talisman would just go away so fast in comparison to the Sloth Talisman. So I knew that, oh man, they buffed this a lot. And it is kind of crazy on how much better Sloth Talisman is compared to Weakness Talisman. So at this point, I'm not even using the Weakness Talisman anymore. I'm just using the Sloth Talisman because it's that much better. So that's what I recommend. And this is just kind of weird and crazy just because a lot of people hate the Sloth Talisman. A lot of people don't want to use it. just because they're kind of against it. But it's so good that honestly you should use it, especially if you're trying to go through Way of the Demon and have an easier time doing it. And then I am using Extraction Talisman. This is extremely good for a lot of reasons. The main one, though, is life recovery and Marita absorption. It really helps for that. So it's just really good in general. I have the Barrier Talisman. I have the Rejuvenation Talisman. Rejuvenation is really good for survivability and giving you health back. Barrier gives you that incredible key recovery. And also, it will automatically dispel yokai realms. So, for the most part, my magic is kind of the same. The only real difference is I'm using Sloth and I'm not using Weakness at all. I used to actually use Weakness and not Sloth for a lot of my builds. And then for my Ninja, I'm using my Poison. So I have my Poison Shurikens. These are really good. Main source of Poison is the Shuriken. And then I do use the Bombs, especially for yokai realms, because you could throw it before you will spawn the enemy from the yokai realm, which is nice. And also for groups, this can be helpful. And then another thing, because the level is now higher, you can put more points into Dexterity and get yourself some quick change scrolls. These are just really good for helping you not die, especially for Way of the Demon, because it is harder and you will die. So this can actually prevent you from actually dying, because it's basically like denial. When you die, you come back and you get another chance to not actually die. Now let's talk about the clan, because honestly, Honda is still really good, but I did want to change things up. And I actually joined Takanaki. I hope I'm saying that right. I might not be, and I apologize if I'm not. But this is an interesting clan. I think that this clan is definitely not bad. Now, defensively, there is no defense from this clan. One thing about Honda is even though they nerfed it really bad when it comes to the active skill damage, it is still a really good clan for the defense. It gives you that damage taken when you have full health. You take half the amount of damage that you normally would for that first hit. And because of life recovery and Marita absorption and the Rejuvenation Talisman, you can be at full health a lot. You can really take advantage of that damage taken half effect that it actually gives you. And it is a good effect. So Honda is still the great clan. Now, another good clan for some offense and defense is Toto. I've always been a big fan of Toto. Toto is still great, especially if you're wearing heavier armor and you have a lot of stamina, because it's going to give you life, and life is important. And also, it will give you a little bit of damage because of that bonus equipment weight damage stat that it gives. But this clan is nice because we are using poison and we are using sloth. So we're getting that melee damage versus the alien enemy, which is just good. Melee damage is general damage. That's always nice. But it also gives us that active skill key damage. Now, key damage, I think, is going to be important, especially once I min-max my build and I actually try to focus more on key damage. Because, remember, the accessories now can come with that melee damage versus zero key enemy. And that's going to be an important thing, trying to drain the enemy's key to do more damage to them. And this clan can definitely help you achieve that better. So that is something I'm kind of looking out for. And I think my next build might really focus on that. It might be like Tonfa's. I don't really know yet. I've been thinking about what my next build's going to be. But I'm really going to try to focus heavily on trying to drain the enemy's key really quickly. I think that's going to be definitely my next build. Now, let's go ahead and talk about my stats and what I've done. Now, for the most part, it's pretty simple. I focused on heart, I focused on strength, and then I wanted to get magic. Heart and strength, of course, is my damage scaling. And I did do a double remodel for both my weapons. So I have like an A- in heart. And I think I have like a B for the Katana. And then for the Odachi, I'm pretty sure it's a double A- for heart and strength. So that's what I've done with that. But my main two scaling stats is heart and strength. And then I wanted the magic just so I can have better duration. So I focused heavily on that. And then I actually didn't need the 9 skill for like stat requirements for my armor. And I went ahead and did 20 courage because I actually needed 20 courage. And that was for my Yazakani because I did actually remodel it for the refined option. and it required 20 courage. But still, courage is good. But when you have 99 heart, you end up actually having a lot of key recovery speed, so courage isn't as important. And then dexterity, I wanted to just get it to 30 because why not, you know? Why not just get it up to that point so I can equip more quick change scrolls and all that? And then with all my leftover points, I just threw them all into Constitution to try to get more health. Why not? That's the way I looked at it. So for the most part, pretty simple what I did here with the stats. Mainly focused on my 2 damage stats, which was Heart and Strength. I wanted the magic, and everything else was just bonus. So that's one of the nice things about the level increase is now you're going to have a lot more freedom to do things for your build. Or at least get some extra stats if you want extra stats. Alrighty, well I'm pretty sure that's everything I really wanted to talk about. Now I'm going to go into a level and you'll see on how this build performs running through a level on Dream of the Demon. Alrighty, well this is one of my favorite levels. This is Dawn of Hope. And it's just a really good level in my opinion for running through, killing enemies, and fighting a boss. So I think it's going to be a good one to kind of demonstrate some stuff. Let me murder this guy first, just right away. Get him out of here. Alright. And of course he's going to block me. Now if I can get any type of final blow or grapple, that actually also helps a lot for building up my versatility stacks. And that's kind of the goal right now, is just to try to get him up to at least maybe 4, maybe 5, and then switch to the Odachi and use that for a little bit. So that's basically what I'm doing right now. And also, yes, the burst counter does count. Let me get that final blow. Alright, and let's do this. Okay, switch the Odachi. That was the Odachi attack I was talking about when you switch the weapon. I actually missed right there. I didn't get it off, but it is a very good attack if you can actually get it off and make it hit the enemy. The Katana one isn't as good, so that is something. Alright. Let me go ahead and do this now. You know, Swirling Snow, I'm not the biggest fan of that move, but it works, you know, it's not bad. But at this point, now I'm just going to start spamming Moonlit Snow a lot with the Odachi, just because this is by far the best Odachi move that you can do. Now I can also switch back to the Katana if I wanted to, and I could start just spamming my sword dance, and I'm letting that meter tick down. That's kind of the idea. And I'm not exactly sure what I'm missing, but I know that at any point I can just go to mid stance and do something. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to just run up on him, hit him with that, and I know that would give me another stack, so now I'm back up to being full at 9, and I can kind of sit through this timer. Let me actually switch the Katana, and I'm going to do this for a little bit. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I play it. Alright, so I also can do this. Anytime I want more damage, I can use that to get that Berserker's Rage. And yeah, I'll just melt stuff whenever I actually get that Berserker's Rage. I mean, look at the damage difference. It's insane. It is really, really insane once you have Berserker's Rage. And like I said, it lasts for about 15 seconds, so it's definitely not bad. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking with that. I really don't. And what I mean mainly by that is, it's kind of bizarre that they nerfed Tenjin where now it doesn't stack, and now that one does stack with other damage buffs, because you can do that with things like Rage from the Axe, which is another really good damage buff. So I don't know, I just don't really understand their logic of that. Alright, so let's go ahead and... Well, I was going to follow up, but, you know, whatever. Let's do that again, why not? Alright, so let's go ahead and do this. Oh, man, have to be careful. I do have Raging Strike, or is it? Yeah, it's Raging Strike. I do have that actually assigned to one of my moves on the Katana. So sometimes, if I'm not paying attention, I can accidentally drain a lot of my health with that move. So I think that's what happened there. I got hit, plus I actually lost a lot of health because of Raging Strike. Alright, so I'm going to buff up again here. I'm just collecting all this stuff. And I will use another extraction talisman as well. And I'm pretty sure I haven't done twin moons yet. I think so. Let me try. No, I must have done that. So let's just do this. And Imperative Strike is definitely one that I haven't done yet. So I can just save that. But I'm going to sit at 7 for a little bit. Like I said, this is a good idea. Just kind of keep it high. I know I can always do Imperative Strike. I can switch to something else. Let me actually do this just for more buffs and everything. And I am getting so many nice burst counters on these enemies. So this is pretty awesome. Okay. So, watch out. Everybody's just trying to murder me, man. Alright. Let's go ahead and do that. And, uh-oh. Almost lost my stacks there, but I was able to keep them by doing that. And yeah, you know, there you go. That's that room cleared. Now, all I have to do is fight the boss, and I'll be done with this. Well, I definitely messed up somewhat bad there because I forgot to pick up the key. But the good news is I used the travel amulet, went back to the shrine, and now I get a couple stacks before I actually go because I was definitely going to lose my stacks before the boss battle there, which sucks. Okay, there we go. And he is dead now, but we got 4 stacks, so let's go ahead and switch over to the Katana, try to build up some more stacks, and I will use the Katana versus the boss. I wanted to use the Odachi initially, just because in the beginning I was using the Katana. Alright, let's go ahead and go inside now, and that did hit him there, so that's... Oh my god, I have the Odachi out still. I didn't mean for that to happen. Alright, let's go ahead and smack him with that. What's nice about using the Soul Core is it also does give you hyper armor, basically, as you're doing it. So that's pretty cool. And let's do this. Boom. And let's throw that out there because it should hit him. Alright, take him out. Use that. That Soul Core is something you definitely want to spam if possible. Alright. So now we're just going to wait for this guy to spawn and just hit him right away with the Sloth Talisman. And then that. Okay, we have to hit him again. And we will have to do this again. Alright. But like I said, this is kind of what I do. I just kind of spam the one move once I get all my stuff up. And with the Katana, though, I will use EI Quick Draw just because it's so good, so powerful. And there you go. I mean, it pretty much just wrecks them. So, that is the basic strategy with this build. It works extremely good. Just build up those stacks and then do a lot of damage. And it's a lot of fun just because you're not focusing on just one skill. Yes, once you get to high stacks, you can. So, that's always an option. The good news is you can use a lot of different skills if you want to, and you don't have to use a lot of crappy skills. You can only use the ones that you like or the ones that are good. That's what I recommend. That's why I recommend using 2 weapons, and hopefully if you're going to do that, you're going to use 2 weapons that you actually enjoy. So that's another thing that goes with this build. Alrighty guys, so that's going to pretty much do it for the video. I really hope that you have enjoyed it. If you have, will you please like the video for me, and be sure to subscribe for future Nioh 2 videos, and make sure to click the bell. If you click the bell, you can stay notified. Like I said, I'm going to be coming out with another video soon about the star effects and how you can easily get them and different tricks that you can do to help you get them. So if you're interested in that, definitely subscribe and click that bell. Thank you so much for watching, and I really do hope that everyone has a very nice day, and peace out.